I make really bad decisions. Don't worry.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Rob here with Mike and Joe. This is the Hogs, Hops, and Hope podcast. Hot takes, cold beers, zero credentials. Guys, to start off, I want to quote a famous American philosopher, Michael Stipe, and he said, "It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine." Thursday night's game against Green Bay was a disaster, in my opinion. It was
I was
not
going to say a
pretty.
shit show.
Okay, great. Great. That works too. I I got no problem with that one. It was ugly. Uh I don't know what happened to the team that beat the Giants in week one. But apparently they went on vacation. They heard that there was a mini bye, and I guess they took off. Um, and it was not good. Uh, Washington lost to Green Bay. I don't even remember what the score was, 27-18. The game was definitely not that close. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think it was Washington was taken to the woodshed for a beating. They Green Bay did to Washington what Washington did to the Giants in week one.
Yeah,
It's fair. Yeah.
pretty much.
So, it's funny because when
So what are we drinking tonight?
well, I'll
Moonshine.
start off. I'll go first this time. Because yeah, because so here's what it did. Obviously, I'm never drinking my whatever extra
Oh,
pale ale or whatever again. Um, I'm drinking. This is from the Paperback Brewing Company in Glendale, California. This is Bunny with a Chainsaw.
okay.
It is a double dry hopped hazy IPA.
What's the alcohol on that?
8.2%,
Yeah. Feels
In a
right.
20-ounce can again?
19.2 ounce can. It's
There
just
you
like
go.
mom used to make. It's wonderful. Goes down smooth. Giddy up. What do you guys got on tap?
Go ahead, Joe.
Well, last time I was double fisting in celebration. This time I'm drinking very sad Bud Light because that's
Oh, even with another team's logo on it.
yeah.
You're, you're already searching for a replacement.
I thought about putting on a Titans jersey tonight, and it's like, wait, I don't think they're playing much better. So,
Oh,
What you
well,
got, Mike?
I don't even have a can here to show you, but it doesn't matter. I'm drinking Yingling. I didn't get out and get anything special, so I just got my regular old Yingling.
I get it. After the game, I didn't want to leave the house either. So, it's
Yeah.
well, uh, I will say this. When I was watching the game, Washington kicked off to Green Bay. Green Bay's working their way down the field. I wasn't surprised by that. Green Bay's a good team. We knew that going in. We talked about that last week. They get down inside the red zone, and Trey Amos breaks up what was a fourth down play right at the goal line. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, that's my guy. That's the guy that I was hoping was have a good year. This is wonderful. He's showing his stuff. You're breaking it up. This is great. And then Washington got the ball. And 3 and out, I believe it was. And you just kind of had a bad feeling at that point that the game was not going to go very well. So I
it
don't know.
really,
We
I was gonna say, it really looked like Jaden wasn't playing well. It looked like the wrist injury he had from the previous game from the Giants was slowing him down. His throws didn't look accurate. Nothing looked
so
good from him.
it's not that he didn't look good. He wasn't good. I mean,
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, his throws also didn't look like they were going with like they usually did. It looked
right.
like he was, kind of like when he was injured last year for those 3 games that we played like crap, where he just didn't look like himself. And that seemed like what we had this week.
Yeah. Mike, you got any initial thoughts there?
Yeah, I don't think we're allowed to use that language on YouTube though, so
It's okay. I marked this video as not for kids, so it's okay.
oh, okay, good, good. Yeah, no, it was a shit show. Joe summed it up.
Well, I do have some issues. Just a couple things that I wrote down. I, again, this comes down to clock management at the end of the half. When Washington was driving, and coach decided it was a good idea to bleed the clock,
Yeah.
and didn't go for it on fourth down. Tried to kick a field goal outside of Matt Gay's range, and that didn't go well because he didn't make it. And the whole idea of trying to bleed the clock was so that Green Bay wouldn't have time after Washington attempted to score. Well, you know what happened? Washington misses a field goal. You give Green Bay good field position, and they go down and they were able to attempt a field goal. Now, thankfully, they missed that. I mean, it doesn't make a difference grand scheme. It didn't make a difference in the score of the game, but uh, I thought this, and I read it a couple other places. I didn't have the same initial thought, but what I saw other people posting was Dan Quinn was coaching scared.
Okay.
Like last year, they would have gone for it on fourth down. You think of all the times they went for it on fourth down,
Yeah.
and we're not seeing that. I realize we're only 2 games into the season, but we're not seeing that. He's coaching scared. But and then the other thing that just kind of stood out to me, and Joe, you touched on a little bit with the offense. I felt like the offense wasn't in sync. They didn't have good play calling, and my initial thought was, what was it? Bring your kid to work day, and Dan Quinn brought Ron Rivera, and Cliff Kingsbury brought Eric Bieniemy, because that's how bad the play calling was for the game as well. I mean, the team didn't play well, but the coaching lacked severely as far as I'm concerned as well too. So I don't know.
Hmm.
So
Still
We didn't play
pondering.
well on a Thursday night last year either. It's like that short week really is not our friend.
Okay, agreed. And did the Packers have a longer week?
well, the Packers didn't have to travel.
Okay, they travel in luxury. Yeah, we do that a lot, right? On a Thursday game, you're like, oh, the short week, it's really hard for them. Both teams are facing relatively same things. Yes, you're right. They didn't have to travel, but I, I mean, I don't know.
All right. Well, I think the biggest thing that comes out of this game, quite honestly, were the injuries.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so as we've come to find out, because here we are, we're a week after the game at this point, and I swear I feel like I haven't talked to you guys in about 3 weeks, and I haven't watched football in the same amount of time, even though I did watch games on Sunday. Uh, so a lot has happened, or a lot has been announced, I should say. So just to catch you guys up, I'm sure you're aware of this, but Austin Eckler and Dietrich Wise have both been put on injured reserve. They're out for the season. Uh, Eckler tore his Achilles. Wise has a quad injury. They're both done for the season. But it's okay because, hey, they're on 1 year contracts, right? So bye bye. Sorry, that's not appropriate. They had another player put on IR, Jonathan Jones, a cornerback. He's expected to return some point during the season, but by being put on injured reserve, he does have to miss 4 weeks.
Okay.
So when you put 3 players on injured reserve from one game, that is never ever a good thing. So go ahead, Mike.
Well, so I think the one I don't want to, and maybe you were going to come back to it, but the Eckler one feels like a big one because we got rid of B-Rob. Now, I'm curious your guys' opinions. In hindsight, do you wish we still had B-Rob, given that we know, it's hindsight, I get it, but do you guys wish we still had him?
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it easy and say yeah, just because he knew the offense.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Rob. No, I'm.
No.
Look, is this ideal? No, but I don't know. And I'm gonna play Joe the optimistic here for a second. Maybe Bill steps up. I mean, look,
Well,
I think I
for
just saw
sure.
something today that they're essentially calling him the number one in the depth chart now.
Yeah, the unofficial depth chart came out. Of course, this is the same depth chart that had Bill as the fourth running back.
Right,
Uh,
right.
so uh,
I just
give it what it's worth. Uh,
I
Go
don't
ahead,
think
Mike.
I don't think he'll be a true number one. I think we're going to see more divisional labor, that kind of stuff. But I am curious to see if I don't know. I'm curious to see. And look, guys, I like Bill. I'd like to see him do something. So
Mhm.
given this opportunity, I'm curious to see what happens with him and if he steps up and, makes a real run to be the true number one.
Well, this team was always going to do running back by committee. That was a given. Once they got rid of Robinson, that was a given.
Sure.
Uh, it didn't matter necessarily who started. You had to figure Eckler would start, just he's call it for seniority or whatever. Uh, but it was going to be running back by committee. But with Eckler out, Robinson wouldn't replace Eckler at all. Eckler's role originally was supposed to be more of the third down back, and that's not what B Rob was. So I don't think I don't think that makes a difference. What you have to hope for now, or what we have to hope for now, hence the hogs, hops, and hope part. So I guess we're at the hope part. Is that B Rob can step up, and because he is
Bill.
going to get more touches now in theory, but also McNichols is going to get more touches, and now we got Chris Rodriguez who's going to be. I'm going to assume he's going to be active. He's going to be the third running back come Sunday against the Raiders. That they're all going to have to step up a little bit, and there's going to be a division, and maybe it means more Debo out of the backfield. So,
Yeah.
I don't think Brian Robinson, he's gone. And hey, with the reaction from the 49er fans about his performance, I don't want him back. So, um, this is where we are. This is what it is. Eckler's out. Okay, well, how do we do it? Can Bill catch passes? Can he, or can Rodriguez do it, or can McNichols do it? One of those guys is going to have to step and be that third down back primarily, because that's primarily what Eckler was for.
They did pick someone else up, didn't they?
They did. They signed Chase Edmonds to the practice squad. He was injured last year. I believe he had a knee injury. He last appeared in 2023 for Tampa Bay. He appeared in 13 games. His stats were minimal.
Just another running back to cycle through.
But he's put on the practice
committee.
squad. So basically, he's replacing Chris Rodriguez on the practice squad as the fourth running back.
Okay.
So that's what that is. And then there were a number of other injuries that came out. I don't want to just dwell on the three guys that are put on IR, but John Bates is dealing with a groin injury. Noah Brown is dealing with a groin injury. And then Jaden is dealing with a knee injury. And I want to I'll come back to Jaden in a second, because I know we'll focus on him since he's the most important part of the offense. But
It's the only part.
well, apparently now, yeah, he is the only part. With Terry's not doing anything, if Noah Brown is hurt, Eckler's out, like, who do we got left? Jaden hurt his knee on one play. Obviously, he finished the game. They're classifying it as a knee. Oh, I said we weren't going to talk about it. So let me go to John Bates and Noah Brown first. John Bates and Noah Brown. The initial prognosis is that they would not be available for Sunday, but Noah Brown apparently is doing okay. He's doing better. Both of them did not practice today, and I would imagine they won't practice tomorrow. And I should say that with all of these injuries that we're going to talk about, a lot of the decision making process of whether or not they're going to be available on Sunday will come on Friday, as we're recording this on Wednesday night, as we always do. So Bates, Bates could be out and Noah Brown could be out. And as I said, we'll get to Jaden in a second, but how do you think that might affect the offense with those two guys out? Bates is our primary blocker. And Mike, I'm going to go to you first on this. John Bates is our primary blocking tight end. They just signed him to a new contract. A lot of people said he's the best blocking tight end in the league. And then Noah Brown, he's supposed to be our number 2 guy. We were all worried that could he make it through a season without getting injured? And here we are after week 2, wondering is he going to be available for week 3? So with those 2 guys out, and set aside Jaden for a second, and with Eckler out, how do you think that's going to affect this offense?
Well, it's hard to set them all aside with all of that going on. It's bad, but okay, you want to talk about Bates and Noah
Well, I mean,
Brown.
look, we can talk about Jaden. Jaden's
No, no,
day to
no.
day is what
No,
you're
let's go
calling
with
it.
let's go
Well,
with where you are. I think
There's 3 other injuries with guys that were limited in practice on the offense for today.
right. I mean, Jeremy McNichols was limited, I think.
Yeah,
McNichols was,
Coleman, McNichols, and
Coleman.
Yankoff.
Yeah.
And Yankoff obviously
Yeah.
is going to have a bigger role if Bates can't go.
Yeah.
but if they're injured and they're limited, it's like how good are they going to be?
Coleman's an offensive lineman. They're always going to be limited in practice. Give that a day or 2, and it'll be full practice, I'm sure.
Right.
All right.
So I think the Bates thing concerns me. I think he's, like you said, solid blocking tight end. Like that could open up a hole for us that I know we're not talking about Jaden yet, but if Jaden's there, that it could create a difficulty for him. And so that's concerning. Noah Brown, I mean, look, I don't want him to be out, but we do at least have other people who can catch the ball. So
Can they?
they haven't shown it yet, but in theory, Debo and Terry can catch the ball. In theory.
Yeah.
In theory.
So
Well, and didn't McCaffrey catch a ball last week?
Maybe.
by mistake.
So last week, let's see. McCaffrey had a catch for 19 yards.
Yeah.
Zach Ertz caught 6 passes and had a touchdown.
Mhm.
Ben Sinnott even caught a pass last week.
Yeah. So Noah only caught 1.
Yeah, for 9 yards.
Yep.
All right. Well, Joe, what do you think? I mean, how concerned are you with these guys potentially being out? We don't know that they're out for Sunday yet. That hasn't been determined, and it won't be determined for a couple of days. But where we are now,
Hang on, I'm reloading. Come back to me in a second. I don't know. This is awful.
well,
The whole thing with Jaden is going to be the biggest problem, right?
Okay, so let's talk about this then, because I mean, because he is such a big factor, but I guess we don't know a whole lot because the team's not saying anything. All they're saying is he has a knee sprain, which Mike, as our resident medical expert from your training days back in the day, don't think I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
A knee sprain could mean what?
Well, in the NFL, it could mean anything. It
Oh,
means
there you go.
there's an
And that's
injury.
the expertise you get from us.
But no, I mean, what did you say they're calling it a sprain? It can,
Yeah, knee sprain.
there's so many different levels. It could be anything. Like, you could sprain something and be fine tomorrow, or you could tear it in the way where you're out for the rest of the season. They would tell us that, I think, if it was like a MCL, ACL, something like that. But no, I think now what I'm looking at is he won't practice any earlier than Friday.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. That's a bunch of days to be out to rest something. So it's probably not nothing, but I guess we have to wait till Friday to see where he is.
Joe, you want to add anything on that?
I think Mariota did great for us last year when he stepped up when Jaden was hurt.
Okay.
So having Mariota step up is good enough. Like,
Well,
I have a lot more
is
other
it?
concerns. Well, yeah, with the way the rest of the team was playing.
You got to remember, Mariota didn't do anything in training camp nor the preseason because
God, I
he
forgot
was
about that.
injured. So yeah, he was in a couple games last year and he did well. I'm not disputing that for a second, but
Yeah.
remember, he's got a foot injury. He did not participate really in training camp other than the walkthroughs. He did not play in preseason games. So where is he? Where is he in his prepared level? I mean, that's something we don't know. So I guess that's the question is, if for some reason, and I know, we try to stay away from this, but here we are. If Jaden can't go, if his knee is more serious than the team is letting on, because it kind of reminds me of hockey when they say, "Oh, he's got a lower body injury." That could be anything, right? And like you said, Mike, a knee sprain. What does that mean? Is it ACL, MCL, PCL? Is it just a sprain? Is it just a tear? Obviously nothing ripped because he would be out, I'm sure. But we don't know. But if Mariota has to start for us on Sunday, knowing that he did not really participate in training camp, and I'm going to go to you, Joe. He didn't participate in training camp. He didn't participate in any of the preseason games at all. Because remember, Jaden played 4 snaps or 3 snaps, whatever, in the one game. The rest of the time it was Johnson and Hartman. So how confident now are you that Mariota could be the guy if he needed to be?
Well, since you so rudely reminded me that Mariota didn't play in the preseason, now I'm not
Sorry
as
for
confident
facts
as I
getting in the
was
way.
5 minutes ago.
Rob, you want to bring Hartman back? Is that what you're saying? Since he played?
Yeah, I'll have another, please.
Oh.
Oh, I didn't say anything about Mariota. I'm asking the question here. I mean, that's
Well, I'll tell you this. I think I'd rather see Mariota play this game if Jaden needs more time to recover. I don't want them to rush him back on the field.
yes, I agree with that. Especially since we saw what happened against Green Bay. Micah Parsons was rushing. The Green Bay's got a defensive line that's really good. Connerly did not have a good game at all. There were actually many people who were saying, "Why aren't they bringing in what's his name? Who's our backup? Not Allegretti. That's why I can't remember anything. That's why I shouldn't do a podcast. What's his name? We all know his name.
Nope. Who are we talking about? You
Andrew
lost me.
Wiley. God, why couldn't I remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Some people were saying that they should have brought Wiley in for Connerly because Connerly was getting beat like a drum. So we're going to go up against the Raiders. Now, the Raiders as a team aren't that great, but they do have a guy named Max Crosby on their defensive line who's a very good pass rusher. And if they line him up against Connerly right now, I don't have a whole lot of confidence in Connerly, especially if you don't have someone like Bates helping him out. And as you said, Mike, so at that point, if Jaden is dinged up at all, do you sit him just to protect him?
Yeah.
And go ahead and let Mariota play and give Jaden another week to recover. Yeah, he's got 10 days from the game with the mini bye or whatever you want to call it. But maybe another week would be such a bad thing long term. And I'm not talking about just this season. I'm talking about everything.
That's the thing. That's why I'm like, yes, you sit him. If he's not ready to go, you sit him. You take one more loss, 2 if that's what it takes to protect him long term. He's supposed to be the face of this team for years to come.
Right.
Let's not get him killed in his second season. Which
right. And
that
I'm not
story
saying I'm
sounds
not
familiar.
maybe you.
Yeah, let's not
I don't know if
RG3
you.
this.
I don't know if you most spoke, Mike, but you said 2 losses. If that's what it takes. I don't know. I'm not necessarily saying they'll lose to the Raiders with Mariota, but
I'm not either. I'm just
okay.
saying that's the worst case, right? Like that.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But
okay.
no, I'm not even saying. Yeah.
I am concerned about that. Okay. Well, let's step away from Jaden then for a second. let's talk. There's a few more changes that went on with the roster this week. They did sign two more players to. Well, they signed two players from the practice squad to the active roster, and that was Jalen Holmes, defensive end Jalen Holmes, and wide receiver Chris Moore. So they're now on the active roster. And to replace them on the practice squad, they added a guard Tyler Cooper and a wide receiver Tay Martin. I don't know much about those two guys. Jalen Holmes is someone that they had an interest with. Obviously, the team has an interest. They put him on the practice squad. He's a good defensive end. I don't know much about Chris Moore. And then they had a big signing. I say big. Maybe you guys will disagree with signing Preston Smith. And as I'm sure you remember, Preston Smith was a second-round pick back in 2015 of the then Washington Redskins. He played 4 seasons in Washington, appeared in 64 games, starting in 50 games, had 24 and a half sacks in those 4 seasons, and 4 interceptions before signing with Green Bay as a free agent, where he spent 6 seasons before being traded to Pittsburgh last season. And he was a good player for Washington, and it was kind of a numbers thing that people saw something in him as a pass rusher, that he could generate some sacks, and Washington wasn't able to make the contract type of thing work. So that's why he ended up in Green Bay. So he has been signed, and he is on the active roster. Do you guys remember him with Washington at all?
Nope.
Joe?
The name sounded familiar. It sounded familiar when you said it, but I didn't really remember him.
Okay. Yeah, he had a pretty decent stint here in Washington. And I know they weren't necessarily happy to see him go, but they couldn't match the they couldn't match the contract that Green Bay was offering him. But so he's signed, and not surprisingly, a 1-year contract with Washington now. For $1.255 million, that'll be prorated. He's already missed 2 games, so divide by 17 or whatever and subtract 2 weeks.
What'd you say? 2015 we drafted him, so he's also old, presumably over 30.
Yes. Yes.
That fits our MO. Older.
Well, we are the oldest team in the league.
That's right.
And Green Bay was the youngest.
Yes.
And they showed that.
Yeah. So the oldest team has to travel on a short week to go against the youngest team staying at home. So that's why Washington lost. That's it. That's
right.
It wasn't Jaden had a bad game. It wasn't bad coaching. There it is.
No, they lost because they shit the bed all over the place. Offense, defense, coaching, you pick it. They sucked.
Special teams, we missed 2 kicks. We need a new kicker. Matt Gay's not working.
He missed a 52 and a 58.
He's not a 50-yard kicker, though. That's the thing that bothers me with the kick at the end of the first half. He doesn't have the range, so why would you settle for that? That's why I'm saying, why didn't they go for it on 4th down? Other than Dan Quinn is coaching scared. That's the only thing I can come up with. And now we go back to the beginning of the conversation. But yeah, they got to do something, but they didn't bring any kickers in this week. Matt Gay's still their guy. We're still Gay way out.
For now. There's no gay way out.
Gay way out. We're still there.
Weirdly, give us those 6 points for the 2 field goals he missed. We still lose. So I'm not sure.
But would it have changed the momentum if he had hit the field goal at the end of the first half, and then you have momentum going into halftime, and Washington received the kick at the beginning of the second half? Would that have changed things?
Probably, if he hit a 58er at the end of the half, yeah.
So,
but again, that's a big ass field goal. I'm not going to come down on the guy for missing a 58-yard field goal. When, to your point, this team would have gone for it last year.
Yeah.
4th and 4, end of the half, they would have gone for it.
And Dallas kicker, by the way, kicked a 60-yarder to tie the game or something like that against New York. So,
bully for him.
That's not a term you hear that much anymore. I'm glad you brought that back. Bully for him. All right. So that's enough talking about the stupid Green Bay game. Team looked like ass. We know that. whatever. Maybe, hopefully it's an anomaly. But the biggest issue is, as far as I'm concerned, are the injuries that came out of it. And we're not going to know anything before Friday as far as who might be available to play on Sunday. And for some of these guys, including Jaden, we may not know until Sunday whether or not they're going to be available to play. But Mike, I think you're the one who said it. That Jaden, he didn't practice today. He's not going to practice tomorrow. There's a good chance he might not even practice Friday, quite honestly. And because this is what happened last year, I think he missed practice all week and then he started again. I guess it was just the game after Chicago, maybe. There was some week it was kind of similar to this type of thing where he was injured and he didn't practice all week, but then he ended up starting. So we'll see.
He got injured in the Panthers game, I think, last year. And so whatever was after that game.
Okay.
If I remember right, he got rolled up. I mean, should we talk about never mind, we're not talking about Green Bay anymore.
Well, what do you got? Go ahead, wrap it up for us, Joe.
Well, it was like a hip drop tackle that they were supposed to be trying to ban, and then he gets hip drop tackled and he gets injured on it. Like, there were so many calls of penalties that we didn't get for roughing the passer that got called against us when we played the Giants.
But okay, so I know that's something that was brought up a lot by the Washington media, by those with credentials, that it was a hip drop tackle. I look at it and I say, you know what? It was a tackle. If did he get hurt on that play or not? I don't know, but that's not what Dan Quinn said. Dan Quinn said it was hit on the play where he went head over feet or feet over head or whatever, where he got knocked upside down. It wasn't the play where he got hip dropped. It was a totally different play where he got injured because he was reaching for his knee after it. So I get the frustration of not getting a penalty on that play for what is an illegal tackle, but injuries happen wherever. Eckler, he got injured. No one was within 5 yards of him.
I knew that was his Achilles as soon as
as soon as
I saw the replay. He's just standing there. He pushed off the ball of his foot, and you're like, "Oh,
I didn't even
no.
need the replay. As soon as that happened, I posted Achilles done for the season. That was it. I mean,
that sucks for him so much.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It does. It sucks for us more.
Well, yeah, yeah.
I don't think
he's still getting plenty of money.
Well, all right, that's fair.
Okay, so we're gonna move off of Green Bay. So what's next? We got the Las Vegas. I still want to just say Oakland Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders are coming to Washington on Sunday. And so the Raiders are 1-1. Let's see. They won their first game against the Patriots, I believe. And they beat the Patriots in week 1, 20-13. They lost Monday night to the Chargers, 20-9. Geno Smith threw 3 interceptions in that game. Hopefully he can continue that trend. Yeah. As we're watching the Raiders, you may see a familiar name as Jeremy Chin signed with them in the offseason. So he's now one of their starting safeties. And their big pick from this last draft was they had the number 6 pick overall. They drafted running back Ashton Genty from Boise State. So the guys, he's a good running back. He's someone we got to be aware of. I watched the game. I watched the Raiders game against Los Angeles, the Chargers. See, I don't even know where people play anymore. Partly because we got to play the Chargers in a couple weeks. The Chargers look pretty good. The Raiders really didn't look that good. And this kind of goes back to, Mike, what you brought up and that we all kind of confirmed is we're playing a lesser team. Washington, even with these injuries, has a better team, I hate saying this, on paper than the Raiders. Even with Jaden out, I believe they still have a better team. And so I think they're in pretty good shape. Do you guys have any thoughts on the Raiders? Any comments about the Raiders? Any anything, Joe, we'll go to you first. Anything you want to throw out about the Raiders that you're aware of or concerned about? We talked about Ashton Genty. Well, I mentioned Ashton Genty, who's a running back. Max Crosby's on their defensive line. I don't have his numbers in front of me, but he's been a Pro Bowler, defensive end. He's someone you definitely got to pay attention to. Any thoughts?
I have thoughts about the owner of the Raiders sitting in team meetings and broadcasting games about the Commanders, and then he's sitting in the coaches' boxes at the stadium.
Okay, so let's not dance around it. Tom Brady is a minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, and he is the lead analysis for Fox, for the
Which
NFL on
some
Fox.
people call the lead analyst, but analyst works too.
Hey,
Potato,
8.8%.
8.2.
Okay. I was a math guy. I was not an English guy. Okay.
You didn't do okay. Well, sadly, when you're dealing with the word analysis and analyst, your math guy thing doesn't help because you should know those words. But
as we say south of the border here, cállate la boca. All right.
see,
So to your point, Joe, yes, Tom Brady was seen in the Raiders box, coach's box, with the headphones on, listening to all this. Now, the NFL, okay, first of all, Joe, I believe I agree with you when I say this is total bullshit, and Tom Brady should not, as an owner of an NFL team, should not be calling NFL games. Period.
It's funny. We talked about this maybe a month ago. We brought it up.
Yeah.
And at the time, you two both said this is bullshit. It shouldn't be happening. And I said, it's no big deal. It shouldn't matter that much. But now that I see it could affect us, I'm pretty pissed.
Well,
well,
but it's affecting everybody because it's affecting
Well,
the
sure.
coming up as well.
I don't care about everybody else, though.
but
I understand that. I understand.
I think when we talked about it before, you were being more gracious. You were almost assuming that, look, he's going to go do his broadcast thing, not be involved with the team, whatever. He's a minority owner, but his ass is in that fucking. Yeah, no, sorry.
So here's the
Good thing you marked
NFL's
it not for kids.
Maybe we should all have 19-ounce beers with 8.8% alcohol. But so here's the NFL's explanation on this is that Tom Brady and the whole crew, his whole crew, when they do these meetings, they are not so Tom Brady called Washington's game against the Giants in week 1. He did not go to the practice facility to do interviews. He did not, everything was done remotely with everybody. It was all done remote, all the interviews, that type of thing, all done remotely. And again, this is the NFL. This is the league saying this. This is definitely not me because, again, I call bullshit. So they're trying to say it's okay. And as an owner, he is allowed, any owner is allowed to be in the coach's box. They just have to follow the same protocols that coaches would follow in that box. You can't have certain devices for communicating and things like that. I mean, obviously they're on the headphones, they're talking to the players, they're talking to the coaches, but he has to follow all the other rules that any other coach who's in the coach's box has to follow. So that's the NFL's out on this. But this has blown up pretty good in this last week. And honestly, I don't think the NFL is going to do anything because I don't think they can afford to lose Tom Brady as their number one guy on Fox, quite honestly. And he's an owner of the Raiders, and he's not going to give that up. So,
oh, Greg Olson did fine as a number one last year. Was it last year?
Greg Olson's a hack, but yeah, sure.
He was fine.
Yeah, he was fine,
I don't think Tom Brady's that much better than him.
But I don't, they're not going to do anything about it. You know, the league's not going to do anything about it.
No, and you think back to what Brady and those Patriots were willing to do to just win games before,
Well,
wouldn't put it
there's
past
that.
him.
What are you saying? He would cheat? Not
I
Tom
didn't.
Brady. He
I
never had
didn't
to.
say that.
He never had to
I,
cheat.
I
I
am.
just implied it.
He's a cheater. I'll say it. Why not? What do I got to lose?
This podcast.
Yeah.
So nothing.
We'll get
What am I going to
we'll
lose?
get a cease and a desist.
I'm going to lose all the time that I spend on it. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? I'm trying to find his broadcast partner is Kevin Burkhardt. So even Kevin Burkhardt is not, I believe, not at the facilities for these interviews and things like that.
Oh, I thought he was allowed to be, actually. I thought Kevin was.
He might be allowed, but I don't know if he is.
Okay. I I heard a few people talking about it today on McAfee, and they were mentioning just that as long as they weren't there on Friday. Friday is when they implemented certain player personnels and packages that they were putting together for Sundays. And while most announcers probably wouldn't gather anything from it, Tom Brady would. And if the crew is there and Brady knows the right questions to ask, he definitely could have a competitive advantage.
Right, but to that extent, I think it was Ben Johnson, who's the coach of the Chicago Bears. And Joe, I realize you don't care about the Chicago Bears, but I believe he was the one who said
I
that
don't care.
that he doesn't care because look, everybody has access to game film, right? So they can see everything that the teams did before. And every team changes everything from week to week because you're taking on different opponents and you know that everybody can see all your film. So you gotta change everything from week to week so you can keep things fresh so people apparently won't know what you're doing, even though that didn't work for Washington against Green Bay, because apparently Green Bay knew everything that fucking Washington was doing. But so but look, I almost feel like I'm trying to justify him. I still don't think it's kosher. I never have. I think if he's an owner, great. I'm happy for him. That's wonderful. But he signed like a 10-year super high $1 million contract with Fox to broadcast. And there's no way they're going to let him go. At this point, like they're not just gonna stop. The NFL and the Fox are certainly not going to say, oh well, so we're sorry, you're right, there's a conflict of interest, and Tom Brady's no longer going to call games for us.
Maybe we should see how the Raiders end up doing now that Brady's a part owner. If they start winning Super Bowls, then we'll really get pissed.
Well, his contract is worth $375 million with Fox.
Yeah.
I think it's for 10 years. Yeah, 10-year, $375 million contract.
I swear. Could someone just give me one contract like that? You know what? I'll take half that.
I'll take a tenth of that. Are you kidding me? Why you gotta be so greedy, Mike?
So I can share with you guys.
Oh, I appreciate that. All right. Roast.
Uh,
All right. So
let me one more thing on the Raiders there. I don't know if it'll matter in the end, but Joe Chin is on the injury list today, questionable. So maybe we won't have to face him. I don't want him to be injured, but we may not have to face him on Sunday.
Yeah. I liked him last year. I miss him.
I did too.
So here's one thing I want to bring up, and it's not necessarily Washington against Raiders related, but it's more about this defense. One of the things that Dan Quinn and Joe Witt emphasized last year when they came in is they want to create turnovers, right? That was the big thing. They want to create turnovers and this type of thing. So I got a little bit of good news, bad news type of thing. the good news is that Washington, and I realize we're only 2 weeks into the season here. Washington is one of 6 teams that has not turned the ball over yet. So that's the offense. We haven't turned the ball over yet. We're one of 6 teams.
Okay.
Now, the bad news is we're one of 6 teams, and it's not the same 6 teams, but we're one of 6 teams that has not created a turnover yet.
Yes, we did. I don't care that we were penalized and it got overturned.
Well, it doesn't count then, Joe.
I don't care. We still did it.
Nope. And we're one of 2
I don't
teams
care.
along with Tampa Bay who have not turned the ball over and not created a turnover. So this defense that was supposed to be big on turnovers, we're not doing that. And it's only 2 games, but we got nothing. And I think maybe this is the type of game going against the Raiders. I mentioned this early. Gino had three interceptions last week against the Chargers. Now, one of them was a tip ball, but still 3 interceptions. That and I'll say if, because we don't know, if Mariota is the starting quarterback and we're dealing with things like maybe Noah Brown's going to be out and maybe John Bates is going to be out. We know Eckler's going to be out. The offense is suffering from potential people being out, that the defense would have to step up, and this would be a great time to start getting some of those turnovers. And maybe Geno Smith is the right quarterback to be going against to get those turnovers. So my question then to you all, and Mike, I'm going to go to you first, is are you concerned, only 2 games in, that the defense, which was supposed to be creating turnovers, hasn't done that yet so far?
I mean, I'd say 2 games in, no, but considering one of those was the Giants, like maybe a little. Feels
Okay.
like we could have had a turnover there. So yeah, that is a little concerning because that's a focus area and we haven't done it. Yeah.
Joe?
Sure. Yeah. But I think if we can play like we played against the Giants and put the pressure on their QB, then I think we should be able to force some force some turnovers, make him throw some bad passes,
Okay.
force a fumble on him.
So we agree. We want to play the Giants 15 more times.
At least.
Well, not if
But
they
not the way they played Dallas.
Yeah, not if they're playing the way they did against Dallas. So, I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting stat.
Yeah, no, that is. I didn't realize that. So,
and I only bring it up because it was a point of emphasis for Dan Quinn and Joe Witt last year when they came in. Is that's their thing, is they want the defense to be forcing turnovers, and we're not even coming close. Now, other than the example that Joe mentioned, which was brought back because of a penalty against Green Bay, there was nothing. There was no dropped interceptions. There was not any missed fumble recovery type of situations. They're not creating the opportunities. And I think if the offense is going to be limited this week, and again, we don't know anything, and we're not going to know anything for a couple of days, then the defense really has to step up and be the difference maker that they definitely were not against Green Bay, and that they were to an extent against the Giants. But I think they were helped by a poor Giants offense in week 1.
yeah.
So
let's face it, it's the beginning of the season. We don't play our starters in preseason anymore. They're not meshing well yet. It's early. So we'll see what we end up doing.
Like Terry's numbers, I believe, are very similar to what they were in the first 2 games last year. Everybody's like, "Where's Terry? Is his holdout affecting him?" That type of thing. So, I guess time will tell, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah. So Washington's going to be hosting the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday. We're going to have Chris Myers and Mark Schlereth as the announcers. So, as we know, Schlereth played with Washington back in the day and won a Super Bowl or two with them. He also won a Super Bowl with Denver, but who cares about that because that's not Washington. But that's all I got. This team is they were 1-1 at the after 2 games last year, and we all know they went 12-5. And so maybe it's not time to fully panic, but we're going to need more information about some of these injuries before we start panicking hardcore. And may have to start double fisting drinks a little more. Because if Jaden's injury is ends up being serious, or if it we all know if once you have an injury, it's easier to make that worse. And if he doesn't get back to 100% and he comes back out, there's a greater chance that he could re-injure that knee. And I think every fan to a T and those with credentials as well would say the season is kind of over if that's the case, with as much emphasis as put on him, fairly or unfairly, to lead this team and be its star. So, any last thoughts on anything we've talked about, whether it's the Green Bay game, whether it's the Raiders game coming up? Oh, and I guess I should mention, because this was a big thing we talked about in the offseason, there was the final vote for the DC City Council that did pass. So now they can officially start. Well, they still got to tear down RFK, which they're in the process of, but they are going to go ahead and build the new stadium that has been passed by the DC City Council. So hopefully, come 2030, Washington will be playing in a brand new stadium in downtown DC on the old RFK site. So, with that being said, anything you guys want to wrap up with between the stadium, the Green Bay game, the upcoming game against the Raiders, or anything that I missed or we didn't talk about? I really don't care.
No,
Nothing for
nothing
me.
else.
Okay. Well, then we'll call it. So because I guess this is our thing. We don't know who's going to be starting a quarterback. We don't know who's going to be playing tight end. We don't know who's going to be playing receiver. Joe, I'm going to go to you first. How confident are you feeling about beating the Raiders? If you don't want, I know you probably don't want to give a score again, but and if you want to
How
give it a percentage of
confident?
how confident you feel beating them, rather than just outright saying we're going to beat them, that's fine as well.
60% confident we'll beat them.
Okay. All right, Mike.
You know what? I like that. I'll go 60. Yeah. I'm
Okay.
going to agree with Joe.
I was going to say 75. So
Whoa.
Wow.
surprise, surprise that I'm the one going with the highest percentage. But West Coast team coming across the country on a short week when Washington's had the extra time. Hopefully that will work in Washington's favor, regardless of who's quarterback.
I'm worried about the injuries. So
I am very worried about the injuries, and I guess we'll know more in time. Like I said, the big thing is Friday, and it'll be I'm curious as to see. Today they did their press conferences, and the NFL mandates that each team makes a quarterback available to the press on every Wednesday, and so Washington made Mariota available today, not Jaden Daniels, because they didn't want to subject him to 1,000 questions about his knee. And so some of the people with credentials are saying they're curious as to see whether or not Jaden will address the media on Friday or not. And so that's the big day when we'll know a little bit more. But this really could come down to a game time decision on whether or not Jaden plays, and that goes for Bates and Noah Brown as well. But yeah, 3 people on injury reserve after 1 game, and now you got a couple people. There were some other. Joe, you mentioned the injury report. I think Mike, you talked about that a little bit as well. Just for the record, today being Wednesday, Bates, Noah Brown, Jaden Daniels, Zach Ertz, Von Miller, and Tunsil were all did not practice. Von Miller and Tunsil were more of veterans. They get their little bye.
Also.
And then Trey Amos Brandon Coleman, Jeremy McNichols, and Colson Yankoff, as we talked about, were all limited in practice. And I suspect those four will, by Friday, will probably be full practice. Same with Ertz, Miller, and Tunsil. And then Jaden, Noah, and John Bates, I think will probably still be do not practice for Thursday and may even be the same for Friday. But I guess the biggest thing is will they be ready come Sunday? That's the big thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up there. So we're all slightly to pretty confident that Washington will win against the Raiders, which is not as good as we were against the Giants. I think there was a little bit of hesitation with us all last week against going against Green Bay, even though we all said we thought that Washington could win, or that we thought that they would win. But here's hoping that we can get to 2-1 come Sunday. Last chance. Any last words?
Nope.
All right. Then thanks as always for watching. We appreciate it. You check us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
So yeah.
Bully for you too.